Look at the front of this ship, not the part you can see, the part below it. That bulb weighs more than a house. It costs millions to build, and it does nothing at all until the ship is moving at exactly the right speed. Get that speed wrong, and it works against you. So why does almost every large ship built since the 1960s have one? You have walked past ships your whole life and never seen it. The bulb spends almost all of its life underwater. There are only two ways to catch it. Wait for the ship to be pulled into dry dock, or find one sailing empty, riding high with its nose out of the water. A ship doesn't mainly fight the water, it fights the wave it makes itself. Push a hull through the surface and it throws up a wall of water at the bow. That wall travels with you, all the way, every mile. You are paying to lift that water, constantly. On a large ship, this one effect can eat a huge share of the engine's work. And you cannot make the wave smaller by pushing harder. Push harder and it grows. So engineers stopped trying to remove it. They decided to cancel it. Add a second wave, time it so its trough lands exactly where the first wave's crest would be. Two waves, opposite phase. They flatten each other out. The device that makes the second wave is that bulb. The idea is old. In 1910, the American battleship USS Delaware entered service with a bulge below her bow. Her designer, David Taylor, called it a bulbous forefoot. Who deserves the credit is still argued over. Several navies were poking at the same idea. What is not argued, for 40 years, nobody could predict when it would work. That took a Japanese professor. In the 1950s and 60s, Takao Inui at the University of Tokyo turned the bulb from a lucky shape into mathematics. His 1962 paper for the American naval architects gave shipyards something they had never had. A rule for where to put it, how big to make it, and what it would save. Within a decade, the bulb was standard on almost every large ship in the world, and the saving was not small. On big ships, 12 to 15% less fuel for the same voyage. But 12 to 15% is what the bulb buys you on a clean hull, and the sea takes it back. Barnacles, weed, slime. A film of slime half a millimeter thick across half the hull adds 20 to 25% to the work the engine has to do. A badly fouled hull can add 40, more than the bulb ever saved. Which is why ships are pulled out of the water at all, not for the bulb, for the scraping. Here is the part nobody mentions. That second wave only cancels the first one at one speed and one loading depth. The bulb is tuned, like an instrument. Sail slower than the design speed and the timing falls apart. The bulb stops canceling anything. Now it is simply a large lump of steel pushing water. In 2008, the freight market collapsed. Fuel got expensive, ships got too numerous, and operators did the obvious thing. They slowed down. Ships designed for 24 knots began running at 12. Every one of those tuned noses was now working against its own ship. So the operators did something that sounds insane. They cut the noses off. From 2013, Maersk pulled container ships into dry dock and amputated the bulbous bow, cut away the steel, welded on a new bulb shaped for 12 knots instead of 24. 10 ships first, then 12 more of the G-class between 2015 and 2018. The saving was about 5% a year. The surgery paid for itself in under a year. Which leaves you with something you can use. That bulb is not decoration and it is not a battering ram. It is a guess. A shipyard's guess about how fast this ship would spend its life traveling, made years before it ever sailed. Next time you see one, look at how far it sticks out. Someone bet millions on that shape.